If you've ever scrolled Netflix or Prime Video looking for a good sci-fi movie and given up after 15 minutes of endless thumbnails, this list is for you. I went through both platforms and pulled the 10 sci-fi movies actually worth your time right now. No filler, no forgotten titles nobody's watching. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Quick breakdown before we start. 5 of these are streaming on Netflix, 5 on Amazon Prime Video, and I'll tell you exactly which platform which one is on, so you are not hunting around. We are going countdown style, number 10 to number 1. Let's start. At number 10, we've got Godzilla Minus One, streaming on Netflix. Post-war Japan, 1947. The country is flattened, the economy is gone, and the people who survived the war are barely holding themselves together. And that's the exact moment Godzilla shows up off the coast. The film follows a former kamikaze pilot named Koichi, a man already destroyed by guilt over surviving when so many others didn't, who gets pulled into the fight to stop the monster almost by accident. What makes this movie different from every other Godzilla film is that the monster isn't really the point. The point is watching a broken country and a broken man try to rebuild something out of nothing while this thing keeps tearing it back down. It won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects, made on a budget. That's a fraction of what Hollywood spends on movies half as good looking. And the final act genuinely ends an emotional reaction, which is not something you expect to say about a giant lizard movie. At number 9, we've got Dune Part 2, streaming on Amazon Prime. Picking up right where the first film left off, Paul Atreides is living among the freemen in the deep desert of Arrakis. And this is the movie where he stops running and starts becoming the person the prophecy said he would be. Whether that's actually a good thing or not, Denis Villeneuve doubles down on everything that made the first one work. The scale is bigger. The sandworm riding sequence is one of the best action sequences put on screen in the last decade. And Zendaya's character, Chani, gets a much bigger role this time as basically the only person questioning whether Paul is a savior or something far more dangerous. Austin Butler shows up as Field Rata and steals every scene he's in. This isn't a movie you can half watch on your phone. It demands your full attention and it rewards you for giving it. At number 8, we've got Spaceman, streaming on Netflix. Adam Sandler plays Jacob, an astronaut 6 months into a solo mission near Jupiter, and the mission itself has basically become secondary to what's happening in his head. His marriage back on Earth is falling apart. He's isolated, he's spiraling, and then a massive ancient alien spider creature starts appearing in his ship, calling itself Hanus, and it starts having conversations with him about his life, his regrets, and his marriage. You genuinely can't tell for most of the movie whether this creature is real, a hallucination, or something in between, and the film doesn't rush to answer that question. This is Sandler doing something almost nobody expects from him. Quiet, restrained, genuinely moving forward, with Carey Mulligan playing his wife in flashback and grounding the emotional side of the story. If your only reference for Sandler is his comedies, this will genuinely catch you off guard. At number 7, we've got Begonia, streaming on Netflix. 2 men, both drowning in conspiracy theories and convinced the world is run by an evil cabal, decide the CEO of a massive pharmaceutical company, played by Emma Stone, is secretly an alien sent to destroy the planet. So they kidnap her, shave her head to block what they believe are her alien communication signals, and hold her hostage in a basement while they try to force her to admit what she really is. Yorgos Lanthimos, the director behind Poor Things, does what he always does, takes a completely absurd premise and plays it dead straight, so you are laughing and unsettled at the same exact time. What makes it work is that you are never fully sure who's actually delusional here. Is she just a powerful, ruthless executive being tortured by two unwell men? Or is there something to their story after all? Stone gives one of her most fearless performances doing this, going from terrified to manipulative to something else entirely as the film goes on. At number 6, we've got Mickey 17, streaming on Amazon Prime. Robert Pattinson plays Mickey Barnes, an expendable, on a human colony mission to a frozen planet, which means every time he dies doing the job too dangerous for anyone else to risk, the ship just prints out a new body and downloads his memory back into it. He's already died 16 times by the point the movie starts. The story kicks off when Mickey 17 is left for dead on a mission and somehow survives, only to get back to the ship and find Mickey 18 already printed and walking around, which isn't supposed to be possible. And having two of the same person alive at once is against the rules on this colony. Bong Joon-ho, the director of Parasite, brings the same mix of dark comedy and social commentary here, poking at class system, corporate exploitation, and what happens when human life becomes something you can just reprint. Mark Ruffalo plays the colony's unhinged cult leader / politician in charge, and he's genuinely one of the funniest parts of this film. At number 5, we've got The Electric State, streaming on Netflix. Set in an alternate 1990s where a war between human and sentient robots ended with the robot banished to an exclusion zone. The story follows a teenage girl named Michelle who sets out across the country with a small quirky robot to find her missing brother, teaming up along the way with a smuggler played by Chris Pratt and his own robot companion. The Russo brothers, coming off the biggest Marvel movies ever made, throw a massive budget at building this weird retro-futuristic version of America full of abandoned robots and roadside Americana. Critics weren't kind to the story, and it's fair to say the plot doesn't always hold together, but it becomes one of the most watched movies on Netflix regardless, because visually it's one of the most ambitious things the platform has put out, and the robot designs alone are worth seeing on a big screen. At number 4, we got War Machine, streaming on Netflix. Alan Ritchson plays an Army Ranger candidate in the final brutal stage of selection, going through a training exercise alongside a squad of recruits from every kind of military background, and everything is normal right up until very suddenly it isn't. What starts as a straightforward military survival story turns into a fight against an actual outer-worldly killing machine that none of their training prepared them for, and from that point on it's non-stop. Dennis Quaid plays the hardened sergeant major overseeing the exercise, and he becomes the emotional anchor of the film as he watches his recruits get thrown into something impossible. Director Patrick Hughes, who made The Hitman's Bodyguard, isn't trying to reinvent anything here. This is a loud, old-school throwback action movie that knows exactly what it is and delivers on it. If you want a straight-up popcorn sci-fi action ride with zero pretension, this is the one on the list. At number 3, we've got The Running Man, streaming on Amazon Prime. In the near future America crushed by poverty and inequality, the fastest way to make life-changing money is by going on a deadly televised game show where contestants are hunted across the country by professional killers, and the longer you survive on camera, the bigger the payout gets. Glenn Powell plays Ben Richards, a desperate man who signs up for the show to get money for his sick daughter, and quickly realizes that the game is rigged from the start. He's not meant to survive, he's meant to be entertainment. Edgar Wright directs this new adaptation of the original Stephen King novel, and he brings it much closer to the book's darker, more brutal tone than the 1987 Schwarzenegger version. It's a sharp piece of satire about media, class, and entertainment culture wrapped inside a genuinely tense chase movie. At number 2, we've got Mercy, streaming on Amazon Prime. Chris Pratt plays a man on trial for the murder of his wife. Except in this near future, there is no jury and no human judge. His fate is decided entirely by an AI system named Mercy, voiced and embodied by Rebecca Ferguson, that analyzes every piece of evidence, every statement, every flicker of behavior, and hands down a verdict in real time with no appeal. The entire film essentially plays out as a courtroom thriller compressed into one high-stakes session, with Pratt's character trying to prove his innocence to a system that doesn't feel, doesn't get tired, and can't be talked out of anything the way a human judge might. It underperformed in theaters, but once it landed on Prime, it shot straight to the top of the most watched charts because the concept, being judged by something that can't be reasoned with, taps into something genuinely unsettling about where AI decision making could actually be headed. And at number 1, we've got Project Hail Mary, streaming on Amazon Prime. Ryan Gosling plays Ryland Grace, who wakes up on a spaceship millions of miles from Earth with no memory of who he is, why he's there, or what happened to the rest of his crew, only to slowly piece together that he's humanity's last hope to save the sun and by extension the entire planet from a mysterious phenomenon that's slowly killing it. Based on the novel by Andy Weir, the same author behind The Martian, this leans into the same blend of hard science, problem solving, and genuine emotional stakes that made that book and movie work so well. Except this one goes even further, especially once Grace isn't alone there anymore. Sandra Hüller plays a key role as the missions coordinator back on Earth, piecing together the full story in flashback. This movie made over $630 million at the box office, got some of the best reviews any sci-fi movie has gotten in years, and it just landed on Prime Video. If you watch nothing else on this list, watch this one first. And that's it, guys. 5 on Netflix, 5 on Prime. All worth your time this week. Let me know in the comments which one you are watching first. And if you want a part 2 covering sci-fi shows instead of movies, drop that below too. I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.